placed the earth within his sight on the surface of the water and transferred to her his own energy in the form of the ability to float on the water. While the enemy stood looking on, Brahma, the creator of the universe, extolled the Lord, and the other demigods rained flowers on him. Those who are demons cannot understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead floated the earth on water. But to devotees of the Lord, this is not a very wonderful act. Not only the earth, but many, many millions of planets are floating in the air, and this floating power is endowed upon them by the Lord. There is no other possible explanation. The materialists can explain that the planets are floating by the law of gravitation. But the law of gravitation works under the control or direction of the Supreme Lord. That is the version of Bhagavad Gita, which confirms by the Lord's statement that behind the material laws or nature's laws and behind the growth, maintenance, production, and evolution of all the planetary systems, behind everything is the Lord's direction. The Lord's activities could be appreciated only by the demigods headed by Brahma. And therefore, when they saw the uncommon prowess of the Lord in keeping the earth on the surface of the water, they showered flowers on him in appreciation of his transcendental activity. Very nice. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Sunyavati Paschatya Desadarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangullangayate girim, yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurun Deenatarinam, Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Meshwaram, Hari Om Sat. Asat sadhu tadayin natini chochataraka hanamam jagada chinmam prema krutkantayo spura. Srimad Bhagavatam Amala Puranam ki jai. So, in this verse, Lord has performed a wonderful activity. It is not new for the Lord to perform wonderful activities every time to time. And it is so glorious to discuss about this his transcendental activities and relish and enjoy the association of the Lord more and more with more elegant flavors. Right? So one of such pastimes happened in the today's verse. Lord, from the previous verses, he was fighting with Hiranyaksha, who was very much puffed up. Hiranyaksha was very much puffed up with his power. When he went to Varuna Deva directed him towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because Lord has a desire to show his chivalry also, because it is also an additional flavor. It is also one of the transcendental quality of the Supreme Lord. So it is very rare we hear about the chivalry of the Supreme Lord. Only when these kind of extraordinary demons come into this material world, we will see. Even in the spiritual world also, there are no such fights. Krishna creates a fear in the devotees in the spiritual world, so that the devotees will depend on the Krishna. But there are no fightings, there are no actual demons. In the spiritual world, all are devotees, all the siddhas, all the eternally liberated souls. But there is no place for the demons to stay there. So whenever he wants to exhibit this chivalry characteristic, he will come to the material world. He will create an extraordinary chivalrous, that pride and all the demonic qualities, demons in this material world, so that when there is an equal opponent, suppose a hero is there in the movie, if the villain is not that strong, there will not be that much relishment in the fight between the hero and the villain, right? In the same way, when Lord wants to enjoy the chivalrous mood to the fullest extent, he will send such demons. So everything is his pastime only. When we are thinking that he is a demon, he should be killed, that's fine. But we should also desire to have, the fight should give the utmost pleasure to the Supreme Lord. The fight should be relishable and should be enjoyable for the Supreme Lord as well. So such a fight is going to take place. And before that, he was proving to Mother Earth, he is such a big hero. So he was placing, this verse is such a, I can say some romantic perspective is there in this verse. Why? Because Lord Varahadeva is going to prove his heroism in front of Mother Earth. So the demon is watching this, how he is beautifully lifting the Mother Earth and placing in the orbit, so that Mother Earth also can able to see the chivalrous fight between Varahadeva and Hiranyaksha. So amazing, right? And in the translation and purport, it is showed that with Lord's energy, Lord's inconceivable potency, Lord placed Mother Earth in the orbit so that she can perfectly float in that particular orbit. So not only the Mother Earth, but also all the planetary systems, just by the direction of the Supreme Lord only, they will be rotating in a perfect orbit, and all in an orderly manner, either seasons or every in an orderly manner, in a perfect orbitary system, even all the forces, either gravitational force, whatever it is. And so everything under the Lord's direction only. It is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. What is that? Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetu Nanena Kaunteya Jagat Viparivattate. So under Supreme Lord's direction only. This can be understood very easily, even it is mentioned in the first verse of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Everything is going on under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Suppose all the satellites are floating in the space just with the control from the scientists in this material world. So when the materialistic scientist itself can float a satellite, why can't Supreme Lord can float all these planets, not only the planets, universes with unlimited planets and such unlimited universes can be floated with his just a glance, with Supreme Lord's glance. But it is not a simple thing. Just listen, this earth is not just a small ball. It has unlimited weight of mountains. If you carry 1 gallon of water, we can't even carry some 10 gallons because they are so heavy. But a ocean, it has millions of gallons of water. Just imagine how much heavy. And there are so many oceans, so many mountains, and everything is just floating like a cotton ball in the space. That is the miracle. That's why it is glorious. When Lord placed Mother Earth in the orbit and made it perfectly float and follow the orbit, it is so amazing. And at the same time, it is just one of his unlimited wonderful qualities, unlimited wonderful activities of the Supreme Lord. Every minute he will do such amazing activities in every universe. That is so much glorified. And if you see the scientists, they cannot believe that there is a Lord's hand, Lord's direction is there behind all these. They'll simply try to prove only the scientific forces like gravitation. But there is a clear argument that it is not even gravitational force purely as scientists think. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto, 23rd chapter and 3rd verse, it is very clearly explained. All these stars, planets, they will wind around a central post, that is polar star. Just like, suppose there are so many bulls, and usually in the olden days, if they want to crush the rice, what they will do, they will tie some bulls around a pole. Suppose one bull close to the pole and next bull little away from the first bull's orbit, and the next bull's orbit. So like that, all the bulls will circumambulate that pole, so that without any intervention, they will crush the rice and rotating in a perfect orbit. Exactly, this Srimad Bhagavatam verse is also explaining how these planets or stars, everything are rotating in a perfect orbit. And in that verse, it is clearly explained, it is not by the gravitational force, but it is by the wind, with the direction of the Supreme Lord. See, fastened by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the machine of material nature, according to the results of their fruitive activities. They are driven around the pole star by the wind and will continue to be so until the end of the creation. So, according to the Lord's direction, according to the wind or air, and according to their fruitive activities, we have to understand these planets, these stars, they are also personified and they have karma. According to their fruitive results only, they were given the opportunity to follow certain orbit and float and help the Supreme Lord and serve the Supreme Lord in carrying out this material nature. Wonderful, right? And this is the best shloka for the spiritual scientists to refute the statements of the material scientists. This verse is the base to argue that this is not only gravitational force in all. There is a Supreme Lord's direction, and there is a perfect instructions given by the Supreme Lord according to the karma of each and every planet to follow the orbits and follow the seasons, follow this until the end of the creation. So when these are all the devotees of the Supreme Lord, all these planets, stars, they were all the work assigned employees by the Supreme Lord in a certain job. So when a devotee is executing his job under the Supreme Lord's direction, if all of a sudden a powerful demon comes and disturb their work, disturb their duty, how can Supreme Lord tolerate? He will immediately come and protect such devotees who are carrying out his orders. Exactly the same thing happened here. When forcefully Hiranyaksha disturbed the orbit of the Mother Earth and making her drown the Garbhodaka version, immediately. So, always, Name Bhakta Pranashyate. There is a Lord's promise, never my devotees will perish. So, immediately appeared there on spot and he protected Mother Earth and kept in the orbit. So, that's why this pastime is so glorious. And when these pastimes Lord exhibit every now and then, so that they will be our object of our meditations instead of any materialistic activity, material meditations. When we meditate, when we discuss, Machitta Madhyata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kadayantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. All the devotees always relish by discussing such transcendental pastimes, and by discussing, by relishing, what will happen? Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti suarjuna. So, by discussing, and when we can remember these transcendental activities all the time, there is no chance for the next birth. We will not take birth again in this material world. So, it is very easy to go back to Godhead. And but foolishly nowadays, what is happening is, when we see a small magician doing a small simple magic trick, if suppose even that magician is very powerful and can produce some 1 gram of gold, we will think so wondrous, wow, amazing, he is just like a god, he is creating so many things, and we will be so much glorifying, so much adoring such insignificant people's insignificant acts. But see here, Lord is creating a planets which have gold mines itself, and Lord is creating unlimited such planets and controlling unlimited such planets. How much we need to glorify the Supreme Lord? He is creating minute by minute unlimited planets just by his simple glance. Srila Prabhupada said one of such stories. One time, a mystic yogi, he went to the Himalayas and meditated. He did lot of tapasya and acquired some mystic power. With that mystic power, he could able to float on the water. But he is not satisfied with that power what he has. Now he wants to show to the common public, and he wants to be appreciated for his so-called yogic power. So he went to his hometown and he invited all the people, and he wanted to show that he can able to float in the water. So he from one shore of the river to the other shore, he was walking. That's it. All the town people, villagers, everyone was clapping. Wow, how is it happening? You're like a god. It's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. So he was so much happy. Then there, a old man, who was observing everything, the yogic way of walking on the water and all the people innocently glorifying him. Then the old man called this mystic yogi and gave him two annas. Annas means in the olden days that is 1/16 of a rupee, 1 rupee. Two annas. Then the yogi was so surprised. What is this? Why are you giving? So this is the amount I give to a boatman who helped me to cross the river from the shore to that shore. From these many years, you learned a vidya, you learned a power which cost 2 annas. So the value of such so-called yogic mystic powers is that much, very insignificant. And all of a sudden, ignorantly, foolishly, we will raise them to the position of the God. The God's position is not that cheap. He can do out of his will anything. He can create the unlimited universes, unlimited planets, and he can put them in the orbit. And when the orbit is disturbed, he can again put them in the orbit. He can do anything. If he wants, he can destroy all the planets and universes also. So we cannot compare Lord's transcendental activities with any insignificant materialistic powers of the common person. Okay. And in Brahma Samhita, it is beautifully mentioned about Lord's such activities. Chakshuresha savita sakala grahanam raja samasta suramurti rasesha teja yasyajnaya brahmati samrita kala chakro govindamati purusham tamaham bhajami. So I worship. Brahma is glorifying the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. I worship Govinda, such primeval Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, under whose control? Even the sun, which is considered to be the eye of the Lord, rotates, not only the sun, like that so many planets, sun planet, moon planet, all these unlimited planets, rotates within the fixed orbit of eternal time. So, he is glorified by the Brahma because under his direction, under his control only, all these planetary systems are floating. And it is very difficult for the demons to understand, to appreciate, because when we do such activities, when the Lord, even when we are reading those pastimes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, because of the modes of passion and ignorance that are lying in our hearts, sometimes we cannot extract the complete essence of behind or complete greatness of the Supreme Lord, because we are much materially contaminated from millions of lifetimes. So when Lord Ramchandra made such wonderful activity also, it was not being appreciated, it was not being properly glorified by the Ravana. So there is a similar connectivity between this verse and Lord Rama. Here, as Lord Varahadeva is making the Mother Earth float on the orbit, Lord Ramchandra made the stones float on the water. Usually, the stone tendency is whenever we put in the water, they are supposed to drown. But Lord Rama's power, holy name power, made the stones float. And they could walk on that floating stone bridge, which is so amazing. But it was not able to be appreciated by the Ravana and all the demonic people. They thought it is a normal activity. So, such activities only can be recognized by the devotees like Brahma and all the demigods here, because they can accept the supremacy all in total, with full knowledge. So, when we also can understand the supremacy of the Lord, when we clear off all the darkness with the lights, as Ayodhya Vasis are welcoming Lord Ramchandra into Ayodhya, if we can also welcome the heart with 26 diyas in our heart. Why 26 diyas means? There are 26 Vaishnava qualities that we need to develop, like Shama, Daya, Titiksha, Arjava, like that. If we can develop with 26 lights, if we can remove the darkness within our hearts, we can also welcome Lord Ramchandra into our hearts, and we can also understand and relish these transcendental pastimes with wholeheartedness, because Lord Rama or Supreme Lord can sit in our hearts, which is free of contaminations. That is the real Diwali, not the artificial lights. But if we can enlighten our hearts with these lamps of Vaishnava qualities, and Lord will be so happy to live in such an atmosphere, like in Ayodhya Dhama. Our hearts will become Ayodhya Dhama, and Lord will happily bless us, enlighten us, remove all the darkness, and take us along with him to his transcendental abode. Hare Krishna. So, wish you a happy Diwali to all the exalted Vaishnavas in this group. If there are any comments, you can happily express.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead, and a very happy, spiritually enlightened Diwali, the day when the actual pastime of Damodar Lila took place. So please light a candle to Lord Damodar on this very special day, Jasoda Damodar. If you're coming to the temple in the evening, please do that. Both today, tomorrow, very, very special days. We'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord, loudly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Praladesha, Jai Padma Mukha Padma Vringa, Vira Mahavishnu Jalantam Sarvatobhakam, Nrsimham Vishnam Bhadram, Nityam Nrsimha Bhagwan ki Jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the Assembled Vaishnavas. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhu bhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavinda ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone.